It started with a file, a single email with no subject, no sender name, just an attachment. 119 last.m4. I thought it was spam at first, until I saw who it came from. Ethan Ford. My old friend, the one who vanished 3 years ago on a road that doesn't exist. The moment I pressed play, the world around me went silent, static, low and pulsing, like breathing through an old radio. Then the image flickered. Ethan's face, pale and exhausted, staring straight into the camera. His voice trembled. "If you're watching this, Claire, I think it found me." He was inside his car, the dashboard lit only by the glow of his GPS, flickering numbers skipping like a heartbeat. Through the windshield, a stretch of road appeared, narrow asphalt vanishing into a sea of fog. And then, a sign, Route 119. But that can't be. That road was erased from every map in Maine since 1963. I watched the footage again. In the corner reflection of the driver's window, I saw something that shouldn't be there. A car identical to mine. Same dented mirror. Same license plate. And behind the wheel, me. The video glitched. Colors bleeding into each other. Voices layering over static. He whispered something. I had to replay it 5 times to catch the words. It's not listening to sound. It listens to movement. Once you're on it, it knows. My pulse throbbed against my neck. The room felt colder, like the air itself recoiled from the sound. Every instinct screamed to close the laptop, but I couldn't. On the video, Ethan's eyes shifted, looking past the camera, as if he saw something moving behind him. Then the GPS blinked again. Coordinates flashed across the screen, latitude and longitude. But when I traced them, they pointed to a patch of forest 50 miles from the nearest road. I whispered to myself, this can't be real. But the video kept playing. Ethan stepped out of the car. His camera swayed with each movement. The fog swallowed everything. Trees, road, even sound. He muttered, "Do you hear that?" There was nothing, until a low hum rose beneath the static, like tires rolling on empty asphalt. Somewhere in that fog, another engine was running. And then, for a single frame, I saw myself, not watching him, but standing beside him. The same jacket, same scar on my hand. I wasn't breathing anymore. The screen went black. Then, in absolute silence, a voice whispered from the speakers, "Claire, don't drive tonight." My heart froze. Outside my window, something shifted. A faint beam of light moving through the trees, like headlights where no road should be. I shut the laptop, but the coordinates burned in my mind. I had to know. I had to see if Route 119 was still out there. Tomorrow, I'll drive north. Just once, just to prove it's nothing but a story. Right? No. The coordinates led me north. Maine stretched before me in endless shades of gray, wet roads, black pines, and the scent of rain-soaked earth. Fog rolled low over the valleys, like a sleeping animal, breathing slowly. I left Portland before dawn, chasing a place that shouldn't exist. By noon, I reached Coldue View, or what was left of it. Half the storefronts were boarded shut, and the only open diner smelled of burnt coffee and mold. The waitress, an old woman with trembling hands, stared too long when I asked about Route 119. She said, "Honey, there's no road like that here." But her voice cracked, a half-truth caught in her throat. She pointed me to a man named Henry Corbin, who lived just outside town. Said he used to work the asphalt back then. Henry's house sat at the edge of the forest, a sagging structure swallowed by moss and silence. When he opened the door, the smell of rust and damp paper hit me like a wall. Stacks of maps covered every surface, hand-drawn, crossed out, rewritten again and again. Each one showed the same line, Route 119, drawn in pencil, then erased, then drawn again. Everyone says the road's gone, he told me. But it keeps coming back, not always in the same place, not always the same length, but it's there when it wants to be. And alliance goes doors, gadundigund, gatatu, gadundagundiyaku. Kasiyanahin, dondalun, gundoga, kasudite. He traced a finger along one of his maps. You can't find it. It finds you. I asked what happened when it did. He laughed. A dry, broken sound. You lose time first. Then you lose yourself. Outside, the fog thickened, creeping between the trees like smoke. Henry followed me to the porch, eyes darting to the tree line. Best go before dark, he said. After midnight, the forest hums. I asked what he meant, but he just closed the door. The hum, the same sound Ethan mentioned. Back in my motel room, I reviewed my notes. According to old state records, Route 119 was officially decommissioned in 1963. Yet I found 3 newspaper articles from 1965, each describing traffic incidents on the closed road near Coldu View. One reporter even mentioned lights vanishing into fog. No retraction was ever published. The next entry in Ethan's files contained scanned pages from the Bangor Courier, dated 1981. 2 teenagers missing. Their car never found. Ethan had written a note in the margin. 119 reappears every 19 years. I checked the math. 1962, 1981, 2014. The pattern fit. Each time, the disappearances clustered within the same 2-month span, September to November. We were in October. That night, I couldn't sleep. The motel's neon sign buzzed outside my window, a low droning hum that merged with the sound of distant rain. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the reflection from Ethan's video, my own car on that impossible road. My body ached with exhaustion, but my mind kept racing, rewinding the footage, chasing details that didn't make sense. At 2:47 a.m., my phone vibrated. A new message. No number, no text, just a location pin right in the middle of the forest where Henry's map ended. When I tapped it, my GPS screen flickered, the signal looping in circles, coordinates shifting faster than I could read. And then, the words appeared across the display, as if typed by invisible hands. It's opened. I froze. Outside, the hum grew louder. Not the sign, not the rain. Something deeper, under the ground, like distant wheels rolling over buried asphalt. My chest tightened, heartbeat sensing with the rhythm of that unseen road. I whispered to myself, just interference, just data noise. But my car keys were already in my hand. The forest called softly through the fog, patient, waiting. I stepped outside. The night air was colder than before, thick with the scent of iron and wet pine. And somewhere beyond the trees, faint but real, a sign flickered in the dark. Route 119. Next right. Morning came gray and heavy, pressing down on the forest like a wet blanket. I returned to Henry's house, hoping he might have more answers. Inside, the maps were still scattered across the floor, and the air smelled of dust and rust, old paper decaying slowly. Henry led me to a small cabinet, a drawer tucked away behind stacks of charts. Inside were tapes, dozens of them, labeled in spidery handwriting. Missing, gone 1962. Teen one 1981. Vanished 2014. He handed me the first one. These are voices you shouldn't hear, but you need to, he warned. I set up the old cassette player in the living room, the machine groaning as it powered on. Static at first, then faint words echoing from decades ago. A mother crying, a radio broadcast interrupted by panic, A dispatcher saying, "Vehicle reported entering the abandoned Route 119 at 2:57 a.m. The tape warped time. The echoes sounded layered, overlapping as if different years played at once. I scribbled notes furiously. The official reports said the road was gone, erased from every state map. But these recordings proved otherwise. They were eyewitnesses describing headlights disappearing into nothing, fog thick enough to swallow a car whole, sounds of tires on cracked asphalt, when no road existed. Henry watched me, his eyes dark pools of memory. They say some of the drivers never aged, not in the photos, not in the records. You'll find them in the files, faces smiling, frozen, as if time never touched them. And some come back, and we miss you. Wait, I asked him what he meant. He shrugged, a chill running down his spine. Looked through the old reports. The Bangor Courier, the Portland Ledger. The faces are the same over the years. Though the names change, time loops. It's like the road. It remembers. I spent hours cross-referencing names, dates, coordinates. Every disappearance lined up with a satellite image or a sketch in Henry's collection. Some locals whispered that when Route 119 appears, it steals more than cars. It steals continuity. Families say their missing children return older, or younger, or never at all. Some people claim to meet them walking along other roads, confused, silent, staring like strangers who should know you. I could feel a pattern forming. 1962, 1981, 2014. The same window in October, the same coordinates near the forest edge. A rhythm, almost musical. The pulse of a road that refuses to die. That night, I visited the diner again. The neon flickered, casting long shadows across cracked vinyl booths. The old waitress leaned toward me, voice trembling. Be careful with what you chase. Some roads don't like being followed. People have gone to see it and never come back. I felt a shiver crawl along my spine. Every instinct told me to leave, to forget Ethan's file, forget the coordinates, but I couldn't. The tape replayed in my mind, voices crying out from decades ago. The fog from the video seemed to seep into my room, curling around my ankles, damp and cold. I left the diner and drove slowly toward the edge of the forest. The trees leaned in, branches scraping the car like fingernails. Wind carried the faintest whisper. My name. Claire. Claire. I gripped the wheel, heartbeat hammering, ears straining. Was it the wind or something else? A figure appeared between the trees, dim, pallor, standing too still. I squinted. The shape was human, and then it stepped aside, vanishing into nothing, as if it had never been there. I blinked. The forest seemed to hum, low and persistent, like the road itself, breathing. I realized with a sinking certainty that this wasn't just a place. Route 119 was alive, and it was aware of me. I parked my car, hands trembling. I had to go deeper. The past was calling. The road was waiting. The night was thick with fog when I finally drove north, toward the coordinates. The forest closed around the road, trees pressing in, their branches scraping the roof of my car. Every mile felt slower, the headlights barely cutting through the mist. The smell of wet pine and damp earth filled the cabin, mingling with something metallic, iron-tinged, faint but unmistakable. Then I saw it. A stretch of asphalt, cracked and uneven, fading in and out of view. Route 119. It should not exist. Yet there it was, slick with condensation, edges dissolving into fog, impossible and real. I pressed forward. The GPS flickered, coordinates jumping randomly. My hands shook on the wheel. The engine hummed differently here, deeper, resonating with something in the forest itself. At first, it was just visual oddities, shadows that didn't belong to anything, stretching long across the asphalt. A tree reflected twice in the rearview mirror. Though I knew it had passed behind me, the hum grew louder, rhythmic, syncing with my heartbeat. I could feel it in my chest. Then came the whispers, soft, layered, unintelligible at first, but they grew sharper, forming words that pressed against my mind. Don't leave. Don't leave. Come back. I swallowed hard, pulse racing. The words were not coming through the speakers, not from the radio. They were inside me. I caught movement in the fog. Figures standing at the edge of the road, barely visible. Pale, thin, too still. They looked like people, yet wrong. Stretched limbs, eyes too wide, frozen expressions. I blinked, and they shifted closer. Every time I tried to swerve, the road seemed to stretch, elongate, reshaping itself beneath my tires. I tried to turn back, but the GPS refused to cooperate. The coordinates spun in impossible loops, always pointing forward. I realized then, the road didn't just lead somewhere. It led deeper into itself. The first sign appeared, a road marker, ancient and rusted, blinking faintly in the fog. Route 119. Next exit, unknown. I drove past it, headlights cutting through nothing, yet illuminating shapes that shouldn't exist. A man, sitting on the roadside, face obscured by fog. I slowed, heart hammering. He lifted a hand. I recognized the jacket, the scar. It was me. Panic clawed at my chest. I pressed the accelerator. The road twisted unnaturally, trees leaning in impossible angles, shadows bending like liquid. The whispers became screams, echoing inside my skull. I clutched the wheel, teeth grinding, breath short, mind fracturing. Then the air shifted. Temperature dropped, abruptly. Frost formed on the windshield, spiderwebbing across the glass. The man, no, it wasn't a man anymore, vanished as if never there. Only the hum remained, vibrating through the car, vibrating through me. I drove blindly, every instinct screaming to stop, to escape. But the road stretched on endlessly, edges dissolving into fog, headlights swallowed whole. And then, just ahead, a car appeared, identical to mine, mirror dented, license plate familiar. Inside, a figure stared back. Ethan, alive, older, eyes hollow. He raised his hand slowly, pointing ahead. I followed, powerless. The road twisted further, bends impossible, fog thick as wet wool. Time warped, seconds stretching, collapsing. A loop I could feel in my bones. My reflection in the side mirror was no longer mine. Faces overlapping, blurring. I realized with a sinking dread, I had crossed the point of no return. Route 119 wasn't just a road. It was a trap. It was alive, and it was watching. The road stretched endlessly, fog curling like fingers around the tires. I gripped the wheel, knuckles white, heartbeat pounding in my ears. Every mile I drove, the forest seemed to shift, trees leaning in impossible angles, their branches like claws, scraping the sky. I couldn't tell where the road ended or began. Then I saw them. Cars, abandoned, half buried in mist. Their windows fogged, doors hanging open. Some had headlights on, though there was no power source. No one inside. I caught glimpses of faces through the glass, familiar faces. Twisted and silent screams. My chest tightened. I realized they were all drivers who had disappeared before. A low hum rose from the asphalt, vibrating through the metal frame of my car. It was everywhere and nowhere, echoing inside my skull. I tried to turn around, but the wheel resisted, as if the car had a mind of its own. Every instinct screamed to stop, but the road had taken me, and I was already lost. Time started to distort. Minutes stretched into hours. Shadows froze, and then leapt forward in sudden bursts. I saw my reflection in the rearview mirror. Only it wasn't just me. It was my past, my future, flickering between frames, staring back with hollow eyes. I screamed. The sound seemed to bounce off the fog, coming back distorted, overlapping with Ethan's voice from the video. A figure appeared on the side of the road. Human shape, but wrong. Limbs too long. Movements unnatural. Eyes too wide. Staring. I swerved, tires skidding on invisible patches. The figure vanished into the fog, leaving only a wet, metallic scent behind. Every attempt to escape failed. The road curved in impossible loops, trees rearranging themselves, road markers appearing where they shouldn't. I glimpsed a sign, Route 119. Next exit, nowhere. The coordinates on my GPS rotated endlessly, mocking me, pointing forward deeper into the forest. I could hear whispers now, layered, overlapping, insistent. Do not leave. Do not leave. Do not leave. The voices weren't outside. They were inside me, inside my mind. I passed another abandoned car. Inside, a man turned his head slowly. Face familiar. Not Ethan. Me. Older. Tired. Terrified. I blinked, and the reflection merged with my own face. I realized then that turning back was impossible. The road had consumed the past, the present, and the future. I was a passenger in something beyond comprehension. A loop I couldn't escape. Then movement in the fog caught my eye. Figures walking slowly, endlessly, circling the same stretch of road. Some looked like me, some like Ethan, some unrecognizable, distorted, broken. They walked as if trapped, each step folding into the next, over and over. I tried to scream, to hit the brakes, to reverse, but the car obeyed only the road. The hum rose to a deafening roar. Every shadow seemed alive, stretching toward me. I was suffocating in fog. Sound, time caught in the pulse of a place that should exist. I gripped the wheel and whispered, barely audible, I can still leave. I can still. But the words dissolved into the hum. The road had me, and it wasn't letting go. The fog thickened, pressing against the windshield like a living wall. I could barely see beyond 10 feet. Every shadow seemed to twitch, stretch, collapse. The road beneath me twisted impossibly, curving into angles that defied logic. Whispers started again, low at first, almost comforting, then louder, insistent. Not in words at first, just sounds, shifting tones, sighs, murmurs echoing inside my skull. I could feel them pressing against my temples, pulling at memories I didn't want to remember. I glanced in the rearview mirror. The forest behind me was gone, replaced by nothing. Darkness that absorbed light, swallowing my own reflection. And then it was back, but wrong. Trees bending at impossible angles, leaves floating like they were underwater. The car responded oddly to my movements. Steering left, it drifted right. Braking, it accelerated. I realized the road itself was alive, aware of me, reading my intent, twisting the asphalt to match. A shape appeared ahead, a figure crouched by the roadside, staring at me. I froze. It was Ethan. Or was it me? The face was smeared, stretched like a photograph in water. And yet, recognition flared in my chest, sharp as a knife. I forced the car forward. The headlights illuminated more shapes. Dozens, hundreds, frozen mid-motion, faces pale and twisted. Some had cars around them, parked haphazardly, engines running, lights blinking. The hum beneath the road intensified, vibrating through the frame, through my bones. I felt nausea, dizziness, a vertigo of time. Then came the distortions. A tree that should have been 10 feet away loomed impossibly close. The road curved, folded, doubled back over itself. Signs appeared, vanished, reappeared. Numbers on the GPS jumped wildly, coordinates spinning like a roulette wheel. I tried to call someone, anyone, but the phone was dead. No signal. No time. No way out. Even the radio played only static, layered with faint screams. Familiar and impossible. I blinked. For a second, everything paused, and I saw them. Figures walking along the roadside, frozen mid-step, their faces blank, eyes dark, mouths opening and closing soundlessly. And then they moved together. A ripple across the road. A tide of shadows flowing toward me. I slammed the brakes, tires screeching, fog swallowing the sound. The figures didn't slow. The hum became voices now, shouting, whispering, overlapping. I am here. I am you. Do not leave. I clutched my head, rocking back and forth, heart hammering, vision blurring. The windshield fogged, not from condensation, but from something breathing against the glass. I wiped it. The road behind me mirrored the road ahead, stretching infinitely in both directions. I was trapped in a corridor of asphalt and mist, a tunnel where time bent, twisted, and broke. Then the figures stepped closer. Some not human at all. Limbs bending like metal, faces merging with fog. I felt my mind crack, panic screaming, body trembling, sweat freezing on my skin. And through it all, the road hummed, deep, resonant, alive, waiting, guiding, watching. I whispered, voice shaking, "It can't end. It can't." But the fog closed in tighter. Shadows leaned in. Reality itself fractured. The fog had grown dense, a living thing pressing against the car, muffling sound, swallowing light. Every turn I took felt predetermined, like the road was guiding me somewhere I didn't want to go. And then I saw them, bodies or shadows of bodies, leaning against the roadside trees, frozen, half lit by my headlights, faces twisted in silent terror. Some looked human, some not. Limbs bent unnaturally, eyes wide and unblinking, mouths open in frozen screams. I recognized one of them immediately. Ethan, older, hollow-eyed, staring at me with pleading that didn't reach his lips. I tried to swerve, but the steering wheel resisted, car obeying the pull of the road. The figures didn't move at first. Then, a ripple, a wave of shadows, stepping closer together, silent, synchronized, and I realized these were the missing, the vanished, the taken, drivers who had entered Route 119 over the decades, trapped, folded into the road's pulse. I gripped the wheel, heart hammering. A memory came unbidden. The tapes Henry gave me, the screams on the recordings, the faces in old newspaper clippings, all of them, every disappearance linked. Route 119 wasn't just a road. It was a collector. I pressed the accelerator. The car responded reluctantly, as if fighting the pull of the asphalt. Whispers surged again, overlapping, layering, voices from decades past. Join us. Stay. Stay. I blinked. In the rearview mirror, my own reflection flickered, morphing into another missing driver. A teenager from 1981, staring at me with eyes I recognized but couldn't name. The forest around me twisted further, trees bending, fog curling, shadows folding into shapes that weren't there before. I caught glimpses of road signs, each warning different. Some in English, some in symbols I couldn't read. All of them pointed forward. No exit, no escape. A figure stepped onto the asphalt, not from the side, but appearing in front of me as if the road had conjured it. I slammed the brakes. The tires screeched, fog swirling in spirals around the car. The figure was familiar. A man in a denim jacket, scarred hand. My scar. And behind him, dozens more, frozen mid-motion, stepping in place. I realized then that the road didn't just trap cars. It trapped time. It trapped people. It folded them into its pulse, erasing their paths from the world, keeping them alive in a loop I couldn't comprehend. I could feel panic rising, pressing against my ribs, lungs struggling to fill. I remembered Ethan's video, his last words. The coordinates burned into my mind. I had crossed the boundary. I had entered the loop. And now, there was no turning back. I slammed the car into reverse, desperate, wheels spinning on nothing. The shadows advanced, moving in ways that defied physics, slipping through space, merging with the fog. I heard voices, screaming, crying, whispering my name, and somewhere deep beneath the asphalt, the road hummed, alive, resonant. I realized with a chill that made my teeth ache. The taken weren't just victims. They were guides, or warnings, and I was next. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Route 119. Every image, every recording, every whisper consumed me. Sleep became impossible. Food tasted like ash. The forest followed me in dreams, twisting, folding, expanding beyond reason. I went back to Henry's house, desperate for more answers. The maps were no longer enough. I wanted the files, the tapes, the scattered newspaper clippings. I spread them across the floor, tracing coordinates with my fingers, connecting disappearances over decades. Patterns emerged, rhythms, cycles. Like a heartbeat, I began seeing them outside my window. Figures at the edge of the forest, pale, stretching, fading in and out of existence. Sometimes they were Ethan, sometimes me, sometimes strangers I had never met. I could hear whispers even in silence, calling my name, repeating warnings I didn't understand. I drove the coordinates again, despite every instinct screaming to stop. The fog wrapped around my car like wet silk, pressing, suffocating, blurring the line between the road and the forest. Time fractured. I passed the same landmarks twice, 3 times, endlessly. Cars appeared, then disappeared, each containing faces I knew. Faces I feared. The road pulsed beneath me, a living, breathing entity, shaping itself to my fears, testing me, pulling me deeper. I realized the taken weren't just trapped. They were part of it, extensions of its will. They moved like echoes of the past, reaching forward, tugging me into the same cycle. Sleep deprived, I began hallucinating more vividly. My reflection in the mirrors shifted, sometimes smiling, sometimes screaming, sometimes merging with figures from the forest. Voices overlapped in the car, low hums escalating into screams, whispers into shouts. The hum beneath the asphalt felt like it was inside my chest, beating in rhythm with my heart. Faster, faster. I saw Ethan again, not a video version, alive, stepping from the fog with hollow eyes, pointing at me with a hand that trembled, shaking like the trees. Claire, you don't belong here. But his mouth never moved. The words came straight into my mind. He wasn't warning me. He was part of the road now. The GPS spun wildly. Coordinates changed every second. North became east. East became south. South became unknown. The car twisted unnaturally around bends that shouldn't exist. Fog enveloped me completely. I was blind. I was alone. I realized with a suffocating certainty that Route 119 had consumed me already. It was inside my thoughts, inside my perception. I could not escape its pulse, its rhythm, its will. I tried to stop the car. The brakes resisted. I shouted. Nothing responded. Figures emerged from the fog on all sides, stepping slowly, perfectly in sync. Each face familiar, each one distorted. Some smiling, some screaming, all reaching. And then I heard it clearly, the whisper above all others. You are part of us now. I gripped the wheel until my knuckles bled. The road hummed beneath me, and I knew there was no turning back, no escape. Only the pulse, only the fog, only Route 119. And in that moment, I understood. I was not pursuing the road. The road was pursuing me. The fog had become a solid thing, pressing against the car, muting all sound except the low hum of the asphalt. Every instinct screamed to stop, but the road twisted beneath me, steering itself, folding space, looping endlessly. Time had no meaning. Minutes, hours, decades. They all blended, layered, overlapping in a dizzying spiral. I saw them first in the periphery, shadows shifting, stretching, faces of the missing, frozen mid-motion. Ethan, myself, strangers I couldn't place, all staring, all reaching, silent screams in their eyes. The whispers became voices, layered, screaming over one another. Do not leave. Join us. Stay. The windshield fogged from within. I wiped it with trembling hands, and the figures were closer, crowding the car. Some outside, some inside. Reflections in mirrors, in every shiny surface, multiplying infinitely. The road pulsed beneath the tires, alive, breathing, feeling my fear. I tried to swerve, tried to escape, but the car obeyed only the road. The hum vibrated through my bones, resonating with my heartbeat. The figures pressed closer, merging with the fog, becoming one with the asphalt, one with the forest, one with me. A shape appeared ahead, impossibly massive, bending space. It was neither human nor animal, yet familiar. The faces of the taken were stitched across its surface, writhing, screaming, silently. It leaned forward, and I felt the pulse of every missing person, every vanishing car, every whisper in the decades converge. I slammed the brakes, but nothing happened. The car slid forward into the heart of the abyss. Time fractured completely. I saw moments of the past, present, and future flickering outside the foggy windshield. I saw myself in countless versions, panicked, screaming, frozen, smiling, weeping, all trapped on the road. The hum became a roar. The asphalt beneath me rippled, forming faces that screamed, hands that reached, eyes that watched from the very ground. I felt the pulse of the road in my chest, synchronized with my own heartbeat. It was no longer outside me. It was me. I wanted to close my eyes, to wake up, to run, but the abyss consumed everything. The fog, the trees, the shadows, the figures. They merged into a single, impossible entity. I screamed, and my own voice echoed back, distorted, layered with every voice I had heard, every tape, every whisper, every scream. And then I understood. The road was a loop, a trap, a living entity folding time, space, and consciousness. The taken were not lost. They were part of the road, and I was becoming part of it too. I glimpsed a familiar road sign through the fog. Route 119. Next exit, nowhere. I gripped the wheel, pulse hammering, vision fracturing. The figures reached in, their fingers merging with the car, with me, with the asphalt. I felt my body dissolve, my mind fracture, consciousness folding into the pulse of the road. The abyss had claimed me. I was not afraid. I was already part of it. Silence. Silence. Thick, heavy, absolute. I opened my eyes and the fog was gone. The road stretched empty before me, asphalt glinting faintly under a pale moon. The forest was still, unmoving, as if nothing had ever happened. I tried to move the car, but the engine wouldn't start. I stepped out, every sense alert, every nerve on fire. No sound, no wind, no movement. Only the soft rustle of leaves under an unseen breeze. The road behind me faded into nothing, like it had never existed. I walked cautiously, footsteps echoing, eyes scanning for any sign of the taken, of Ethan, of myself. Nothing. Only silence. And yet, the memory of the hum, the pulse beneath the asphalt, lingered in my chest, a rhythm I could never shake. I reached a bend in the forest, and there, carved into the soil, were tire tracks. Familiar tire tracks. Fresh, leading forward, but not behind, as if the road had moved on without me, waiting for the next traveler. I felt exhaustion, a hollow ache in my chest, but also a strange clarity. I had survived, but at what cost? Memories of the taken, the whispers, the echoes of every disappearance. They remained, etched into my mind, impossible to erase. The tapes, the files, the stories. They were real. The road had existed. It had claimed many, and it would claim more. A sudden rustle to my left made me spin. Nothing. But for a heartbeat, I thought I saw a figure in the distance, pale, indistinct, watching. I blinked, and it was gone. Was it Ethan, myself, or the road's memory? Lingering, waiting. I turned back toward the town, every sense alert, heart still racing. The streetlights felt artificial, almost cruel, like the world beyond Route 119 had gone on. unaware of the abyss I had left behind. I realized something chilling. The road didn't end. It existed beyond maps, beyond time, beyond comprehension. And someday, it would call again. I walked silently, leaving the forest and the asphalt behind. But the hum followed, faint, beneath my skin. A final whisper echoed, almost inaudible. See you again.